Tonight, fire bans are popping up all over the province as the fire hazard risk remains high in much of Newfoundland and Labrador.
I'm watching, it's getting closer and closer, and we've got power lines popping up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I was nervous then. I was really scared for a lot of people that were over there.
The firefight in Churchill Falls continues, but rain is on the way.
Waking Rendell Crane. A community claims one of its own.
That man made plans. He made plans to be buried next to his wife, and that's where he needs to come home.
I'll have more later in the show.
Say goodbye to the sugar-sweetened beverage tax.
Sugar-sweetened beverage tax will be eliminated effective July 1st.
And now we know when this bottle of pop will be about 20 cents cheaper. I'll have more coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. After a few tense days, the situation has greatly improved in Churchill Falls. The latest update from the province is that central and western Labrador have dropped the fire hazard risk from extreme to moderate to high. The wildfire that threatened both the community and the hydroelectric infrastructure is now being held, with rain also helping the situation. Terry Roberts has the latest from Labrador.
Despite living in Labrador, this Churchill Falls resident is not a big fan of winter. But considering the early start to the wildfire season and the frayed nerves in her town, she won't be sad to see the white stuff this fall.
I'm hoping full snow comes a little early this year, and lots of it, so that we can have a less dry spring next year, because this is really dry.
Wednesday's wildfire began just east of the town. High winds pushed the fire away from homes, but it came dangerously close to some critical hydroelectric infrastructure. Like a predator on the hunt, the fire was practically licking this communications and administrative building, with hydro workers inside hoping for relief and worried family members fearing the worst.
We're on the other side. We don't know what's happening on the other side, and you're not getting a response because they can't really respond to you. So yeah, I got a little nervous because my daughter was in the car with me, and they all knew that their father was up there.
Firefighters got the upper hand on Thursday, and today hotspots were being doused, and there were intermittent showers throughout the day, with more precipitation forecasted for the weekend.
It's raining, and it's good. I wish it come down a little harder, a little longer, and hope and pray that the rain just kind of does its thing.
There's no longer a threat to this community and its 750 residents, or the critical hydroelectric infrastructure that powers so many homes, industries and businesses in Labrador, Quebec and beyond. But with scenes like this, no one is taking any chances. Churchill Falls is a powerful source of energy, and there are multi-billion-dollar plans to make even more use of the massive Smallwood Reservoir in the coming years. But with scenes like this becoming more common each year, contending with wildfires will most certainly be factored into any expansion plans here. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Churchill Falls.
Well, major municipalities in the province have issued fire bans. The fire hazard index in much of the province ranges from high to extreme. With the weather warming up, you might be thinking about this, roasting hot dogs over a campfire, but with fire bans in effect in many communities, open fires are not permitted. Bans are in effect in St. John's, Mount Pearl, Paradise, Portugal Cove, St. Phillips, Conception Bay South, Gander, and Happy Valley Goose Bay. The St. John's Regional Fire Department says people should not use wood-burning fire pits or coal barbecues. However, propane fire pits and barbecues are permitted. The fire department says even when using propane, keep a fire extinguisher or hose handy. The ban will remain in effect until Tuesday and then be reevaluated.
Tomorrow we are hosting a wildfire preparedness day here at Gander Fire Rescue, and we're going to have forestry is going to come down with Smokey the Bear and Ember the wildfire fox, along with Sparky. They're all going to be here, and the kids can get up in the trucks and look around, and we're going to have pamphlets for how to protect and keep your property safe. And
Well, the Forestry Department has a message for drone operators who try to capture footage of a wildfire. Stay away or face legal action. Drones pose a major safety risk to water bombers, and the presence of a drone could even force a water bomber to stay grounded.
The past number of years, and right across Canada, has become a big issue for wildland firefighters. So the more information we can get out about this, the better. So I appreciate the question. We really need to let people know that flying drones in and around the airspace of a wildfire is illegal. They are not allowed to do it. There's an automatic sort of a airspace restriction that goes into place once a wildfire occurs. The only aircraft that are allowed in that area without permission from the Forestry Department are aircraft that are actioning that fire. And a drone is considered an aircraft. I would just say to take consideration of the danger that you're putting those pilots that are flying the water bombers and flying the helicopters. There's a significant safety concern from their perspective with an unknown aircraft in that area. Also, by doing so, we may have to ground our aircraft. If we're aware that there's a drone in the area, we would have to ground our aircraft, thus halting all suppression activity. So it's really a big no-no. It's illegal, and it is detrimental to our efforts. So we really want the public to keep that in mind.
Well, people in Conception Bay North are claiming one of their own. They're planning a fundraiser to hold a funeral for a local man whose unclaimed remains have been held at a St. John's healthcare facility for years. Here now's Mark Quinn has more.
It's just heart-wrenching. Heart-wrenching that somebody was forgotten. And that's the only way to say it. They were actually forgotten in a freezer.
This is where Rendell Crane's remains have been stored since 2023, in containers at the Health Sciences Centre in St. John's. Crane's is one of 26 unclaimed bodies here. But people in Carbonear and Harbour Grace want that to change.
I just can't picture somebody being neglected and forgotten and disrespected like that.
This is what got Yetman started. A legislative change allowed the province to post a list of individuals whose remains have been held here. It's an effort to match unclaimed remains with family members to take them. Some details are posted, but this doesn't tell you who Rendell Crane was.
He is originally from Upper Island Cove. And apparently he's a churchgoer at the United Church in Harbour Grace. His wife and him were frequent Sunday parishioners.
Of course, the obvious question is why? Why hold an event to raise money to celebrate the life of someone you didn't know?
You're a member of a community, you've served your life, you've done something. Somebody, you're an active member of a community somewhere. Someone has to know you. You deserve a little bit more than a freezer.
Still, it's not clear if NL Health Services will release Crane's body to community members in Conception Bay North.
Now, can a town or someone who doesn't have the legal authority, can they take these bodies? Well, we'll work with them. The goal here is to work with them to help, get these people a dignified burial. So it's not, we're not being exclusive here. We're trying to be inclusive, to bring anyone forward to help with the process. Now, there are some legalities here that we have to work through, and we'll certainly help people work through them.
Yetman has no doubt where Crane's remains should be.
When they've got a headstone in a cemetery with their name on it already, that man made plans. He made plans to be buried next to his wife, and that's where he needs to come home.
A fundraiser will be held here Saturday night in Carbonear at Route 66 Club. The organizers hope to raise thousands and then begin organizing a proper funeral for Rendell Crane. Mark Quinn, CBC News, Carbonear.
Say goodbye to the sugar-sweetened beverage tax. The Premier announced July 1st as the date the tax will be removed. The CBC's Jenna Head has more.
The sweet taste of tax relief. For the last 3 years, this bottle of soft drink has been around 20 cents more expensive because of the sugar-sweetened beverage tax, but not for long.
In speaking with retailers and wholesalers and making sure that they are prepared and making sure that their point-of-sale systems are prepared, the sugar-sweetened beverage tax will be eliminated effective July 1st.
You know, when people are facing affordability issues, every dollar counts. So, you know, this is not going to fix everything, but we need to approach affordability issues in a way that looks at all opportunities that we have.
The sugar tax should never have been implemented in the first place. They introduced it in 2021, and we have been fighting for its removal ever since then. If you want to help people reduce their sugar consumption, then I believe education, not taxation, is the way to go.
We're going to do it through regulations at this point in time, and then in the fall we'll repeal the legislation. So the wholesalers and retailers will be working over the next month to make all the changes that they need to make sure that people have that sugar-sweetened beverage tax eliminated by July 1st.
So if you're planning on buying some pop for your Canada Day party this year, you might want to do so on the morning of. Jenna Head, CBC News, St. John's.
The wildfire situation in Labrador is a case of deja vu for some people there. In Wabush, the president of Faith's Haven Animal Shelter says last summer's wildfire evacuation was a learning experience. And this year she wants to offer some tips on what you should do if you suddenly have to leave your house with your pet.
Well, first thing is, if you don't have a kennel, a traveling kennel, I suggest that you get one, and you can reach out to our shelter if you need any assistance with that. Second, if you have cats that are skittish, that might end up in the ceiling tiles, which we've seen a lot of, start limiting your cats to certain rooms, and don't give them as much space if you feel that, there might be an impending forest fire or an evacuation. And have a plan in place with your family too, with your extended family who also have pets. Reach out to your neighbors, reach out to people that you feel that might be alone, and say, you know what, listen, we've got a vehicle, we'll help you with your pet. We'll reach out, and just reach out to strangers and offer that service, because we've seen a lot of that last year, that people just had nowhere to turn. Also, make sure you've got some wet food, dry food, whatever you need, bottles of water, portable dishes. You can get the portable litter boxes. IGA has them up there. You can have a couple of those to have there, or you can do your own. Last year we helped people who had disabilities. There were a lot of elderly people that didn't know what they were going to do with their pets, so we went to their homes. Thankfully, Wabush wasn't evacuated, so we had the time. Many of our volunteers went to help them get their pets in their vehicle, get their pets into kennels. You'd be surprised how many people are on their own here and don't have family or close friends that they can reach out to. And it was so chaotic last year. People were panicked, there's no doubt. So we'll make sure that we will offer that service again this year. People who have dogs with anxiety, you can get them in your vehicle, and, you can even reach out to your vet in the meantime if they need medications to travel in your vehicle. Now is the time to do that as well. If you have cats that are nervous, now is not the time to let your cats be out roaming and wandering. And, and I know that they love the grass, and I know that they just love the summer, but now is the time to keep a close eye on them, because we don't want cats being left behind. We had one cat, we were feeding him. We didn't see him the whole time, but we know he was eating. God bless him.
You never thought it would happen, and here we are so many years later after we've been told it was coming, and here it is.
Well, after years of construction, the Marina Redmond Center in Corner Brook is officially open. The center had its grand opening earlier this week. The facility includes a 25-meter pool, water slide, diving board, a wheelchair-accessible leisure pool, a gymnasium, and a fitness center. It will also have a daycare operated by the YMCA.
We have a warm-up section.
When folks started arriving after the war, some of our Newfoundland friends said, oh, well, you'll have, a great audience for your music.
Kubasonics frontman Brian Cherwick is marking 50 years in music. We'll hear how it all started and how they're planning to celebrate.
Well, today was quite warm in some cases, reaching the 20s. A little cooler, though, along southern areas of the island where we're seeing those onshore winds. And then up across Labrador as well. A little bit of relief as far as those temperatures go, and that rain as well, thanks to a front. But there is some lightning associated with that. We'll see that risk continue tonight. More rain on the way through the weekend. I'll get into all the details coming up a little later.
Look at that one over there.
Is this good?
Yeah, a little bit more. That felt good.
Therapeutic almost.
There's a wrestling ring down there. What's that about?
This is wild.
The province's privacy commissioner will be investigating the PowerSchool breach. The data management software used in school systems around North America was hit by a cyber attack late last year. Around 270,000 students and 14,000 teachers in this province had information stolen from records dating back to 1995. That included personal information such as MCP numbers, social insurance numbers, and health details. Privacy Commissioner Governor Carrie Hatfield says she will be investigating whether the Department of Education responded adequately to the attack, and she wants to ensure measures are in place to prevent future breaches. This news follows a U.S. college student pleading guilty to the PowerSchool attack last week. The 19-year-old faces at least 2 years in prison. Well, you might know him as a folklore professor at Memorial University, or you might have heard his band, the Kubasonics. Brian Cherwick has been playing music for 50 years now, and he's hosting a special concert to look back on his years of songs and stories. The CBC's Maddie Ryan has more.
Brian Cherwick says music is in his DNA. His family history destined him to become an artist.
This was my grandfather and his two brothers. This would be about in the 1930s. They played music for dances in the kind of eastern part of Saskatchewan is where they lived. And this is my dad. I think during his high school years, he played in this band, also in Saskatchewan. And this is my mom's brother, and he played in this band. They started this whole trend that continued for many years of taking like English songs and writing Ukrainian words for them.
Inspired by his parents' generation, Cherwick started playing in the 1970s when they bought him an organ. That was 50 years ago. Since then, he's traveled across Canada and Ukraine, playing music, telling stories, and even teaching music for several years.
I ended up going to music school for at university, so learning classical music. I started learning jazz music. I played in a country band. For a while, I played in the vaudeville comedy act. Also, at the same time, I started singing in a couple of super famous choirs that were based out of, I'm from Winnipeg originally.
On top of playing numerous genres of music, Cherwick is also an accomplished multi-instrumentalist. That's on display during the Kubasonics live shows, as they perform their special brand of Ukrainian speed folk. And as the band prepares to celebrate Cherwick's golden anniversary, he's also taking time to reflect.
We used to make a joke before the war started, when people asked us if there are lots of Ukrainians in Newfoundland, we'd say, yeah, they all live in my house. When folks started arriving after the war, some of our Newfoundland friends said, oh, well, you'll have, a great audience for your music.
The band is a family affair these days, and the rehearsals have been a blast from the past for Cherwick's kids, Jacob and Maria.
Some of it is stuff that I learned how to play when I was 3 years old, and then some of it's stuff I'm learning how to play for the first time right now. But it's cool because it's kind of like getting a rundown on the entire last 50 years in a span of a month. So it's fun.
That's really been a bit of a trip. I think I got up on stage with Kubasonics for the first time when I was 3 years old.
Cherwick says he rarely thinks about the past like this, as much fun as it is.
So I'm doing this once and then I'm not going to do it again. And, we're looking at, are there new music projects we can do? Are there new places we can go that we haven't been before? Like, it's always trying to think of something new.
The big career-spanning celebration will take place at the Ship in St. John's on Saturday. Maddie Ryan, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, we've been talking about the fire hazard risk in the province, Ashley, and it has been reduced in some areas. So that's a good thing, I guess, because of some rain that's in the forecast.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So these are daily forest fire risks, essentially, and it really is dependent on kind of the weather of the day or the next couple of days, and that's how they kind of decide what is going to happen. So the forest fire risk is still moderate to high across a good chunk of Labrador, but that's mainly because we are seeing some rain. But across the island, definitely seeing some much higher fire risks, anywhere from high to extreme, and this will likely continue, but we are looking at some rain moving in. But the thing is it's not going to be very widespread until we get into Sunday, it looks like. So there is a fire ban in effect for most of the metro area, but we're certainly going to have to keep an eye on that, especially through central areas of the province at extreme. It doesn't take much, so just keep that in mind this weekend. Now, as far as what's going on right now, what's responsible for the rain up in Labrador is this area of low pressure and the associated fronts with it. And then across the island, we've got another one just to the south with a warm front, and that's also what is bringing some of those showers to the southern areas of the island and the Avalon at the moment. There is some lightning, or was some lightning earlier today up across the Big Land, and a little cell popped up on the Bayvert Peninsula there. So we're still looking at some unsettled conditions with that as well. There is the chance of some lightning for the Avalon, but it looks like that risk has moved off already at this point. But as far as the skies, today, much more brilliant blue skies out there. And that's because most of the smoke that we were seeing yesterday has moved offshore, with the exception of Labrador. You are still seeing some smoky skies, and that will generally continue through tonight and into tomorrow. So keep that in mind. You will likely see some hazy skies through the day. And there's a chance in the Northern Peninsula and parts of the West Coast, you may see a little bit of hazy skies. Not quite as dramatic as it was yesterday. But don't be surprised to see that. Now, temperatures, really big change in temperatures depending on where you are across the province. Nain sitting at +1 all the way through to Makkovik. So definitely some colder temperatures. And then for the southern areas, south coast rather, of Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures now in the teens, but you did reach a high near 20 degrees. So definitely that big change. And then as far as the island goes, southern area is still looking at temperatures somewhere between 7 and 8 degrees for the south coast because of onshore winds, but you get away from that. It's beautiful in central. 24 degrees in Deer Lake, 21 in Gander, and Twillingate. Beautiful day to go iceberg hunting, 21 degrees and lots of blue sky, which is nice too. So we will continue to see those showers move through, mostly the eastern half of the island looking at those showers at the moment, and then along southern areas, and you can see those southerly winds keeping those temperatures on the cool side. And as we head through tonight, we will continue to see some of that cloud cover push a little bit further north. Showers the story for most of Labrador. Not very widespread, but still that chance. And then for the north coast, you're still looking at some flurries through the overnight as well. And then your temperatures will sit somewhere between 7 and 9 degrees. Labrador 1 to 4 will be your overnight low. Don't be surprised to hear a few rumbles of thunder still. At least that chance is still there. And then into tomorrow, it doesn't look all that bad, actually. We should likely see just some cloud cover, maybe some peaks of sun in the mix through the afternoon. It should be a fairly nice day. Day. Now, a few pop-up showers are possible. Don't be surprised to see that. And then we've got that rain continuing for Labrador and North Coast, still looking at that potential for some showers, some flurries rather. And then we see that bigger push of moisture, and that will be as we head through the overnight and into Sunday, and we'll see that across the island portion of the province through the overnight and early Sunday morning as well. Now, as far as the rainfall amounts go, still looking at some significant rainfall by the time we get into Sunday. You could be talking about 30 to 50 millimeters of rain for Lab West, so certainly welcome. Taking a look at the temperatures tomorrow, onshore winds are going to keep temperatures cool along the south coast. Otherwise, upper teens, low 20s, except for the northern peninsula. And then Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures between 3 and 10 degrees as your daytime highs. I'll get into the long-range forecast coming up a little later.
Great. Thanks so much, Ashley. Well, it's been 45 years since Terry Fox ran his Marathon of Hope, starting off at St. John's Harbour. And this summer, his brother, Daryl Fox, will set off on his fundraising journey, a 7,000-kilometer national ride of hope. Fox and other cyclists will start off in Vancouver and end in St. John's on July 10th. Daryl Fox joins me now from British Columbia. Thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure to be here. What am I up to? Nobody tells me anything around here.
Well, it sounds like a huge undertaking. 32 days, cycling every day. Can you tell us why you wanted to take on this national Marathon of Hope?
Well, it is, Carolyn, an anniversary year, and we tend to try and do something a little bit more significant when, years like this roll along. We were actually planning to do it for the 40th anniversary in 2020, but something got in the way, that is COVID. So here we are 5 years later. A spring chicken, I'm not. Youth is not an ally, but I'm pretty excited by this opportunity. We have been planning for over a year now for this activity, and we're quite excited about the potential to raise more money for cancer research. And yikes, I'm a little concerned about the distance. 220 kilometers every day for 32 days in a row is not going to be easy. But I'm with others. I'm with 7 other Terry Foxers, so we will be a group working together, helping each other, and guess what? I'll have Terry Fox within every pedal stroke. So I think I'm in good hands.
When you say you're with 7 other Terry Foxers, what does that mean?
Well, it means people who are truly committed to the cause. This, again, is a huge undertaking. It's a commitment of time. The 7 others had to commit to taking over a month off. Together with that, they have to plan and train for this activity as well. And also, we set the bar pretty high in terms of, Terry was all about goal setting, and each of the 7 riders were encouraged or asked to set a fundraising goal of $45,000 for the 45th anniversary. And at this time, 6 of the 8 riders are already there and have surpassed 45,000. So the 8 riders have already raised $400,000 for the ride and for cancer research. Awesome, but we're actually only close to halfway there, where our goal is $1 million, so we still have a long ways to go to get there.
So what do you think it's going to be like riding a bike across the country?
Guess what? I'm about to find out. I don't know who came up with this idea. Actually, I think it was me. But as you get older and more dated, the running thing becomes more of a challenge, and so I've gravitated to the bike, and people who ride bikes are very conscious of social issues and are really giving, and including runners are too. But we thought we would tap into a different market, and it seems to be paying off based on the interest in this ride as we've experienced up until now.
And it is really amazing to think that it has been 45 years since your brother began his Marathon of Hope, and his legacy has truly stood the test of time. What do you think about when you reflect on what your brother managed to do?
Well, there's a lot of feelings and thoughts that go into that. I was fortunate enough to be the 3rd member of the Marathon of Hope. I missed the first 53 days of the Marathon of Hope, but I was there for the last 90. And I witnessed Terry take on the impossible and show to us all that limitations are self-imposed. So, that is within me every day of my life. When I wake up every morning, I pinch myself because I have this incredible gift of being Terry Fox's brother, and I'm able to witness his legacy at work every day of my life. And as you said, the legacy is still incredibly vibrant. It doesn't seem like Terry was running 45 years ago. It seems like last week sometimes, just how Canadians embrace and carry forward with his vision and mission of eradicating cancer.
You mentioned there that you missed the first 53 days or so of Terry Fox's Marathon of Hope, and I guess that means that you weren't in St. John's when it started, but this ride that you're doing, this is going to be ending in St. John's. Why did you decide to end your national Ride for Hope in St. John's?
Well, we had to end in St. John's, Carolyn. We just had to. I've had the opportunity to go back there on a few occasions. Yes, I wasn't there in 1980, but have been there a few times since. And the city of St. John's embraced Terry and was there to welcome him. We have recently found footage of Terry there in St. John's, more than the footage we've had previously, and it just the city and the province took Terry in. So I always look forward to going back there, and Parks Canada and Port Authority have done an incredible job recognizing where Terry started the Marathon of Hope, and that's a destination. So that's where we'll be finishing on July 10th, hopefully, if I'm still in the seated position, and I can hardly wait to get there.
A St. John's man beat cancer twice, and now he's biking 200 kilometers to help others in care. Jerry Allen is a two-time survivor of prostate cancer, and now he's headed to Ottawa to take part in the Princess Margaret Rides to Conquer Cancer.
This particular ride raises $20 million a year and has raised over $300 million for cancer research. And it is the most electric thing I've ever done in my life. And it is 5,000 people starting on a line. It's not a race, but every single person there is doing it for the right reason, to further their research. And I did it in 2014 with my sister Peg, who had had a tumor removed the previous year. And I was inspired by a man who used to do the ride who was in his 80s, who was completely blind, and he did it on a bike for two. So Peg said, well, I'd love to do the ride, but I don't have full feeling in my left leg, so how do I do it? So I just said, out of the blue, why don't we do it on a bike for two? Neither one of us had ever ridden on a bike for two. We showed up in Toronto, a friend of ours loaned us a bike, and we did the ride without stopping, and it was a very memorable event for me. Just doing this ride, it's just the best thing I do in my life. It's for other people, and everybody's doing it for a great cause. And I had my children, Michael, who's on the line, and my daughter, Patricia, and her husband did it last year. Next year, my other daughter's hoping to do it with me. It's just so honorable. You're honored to be able to do this for other people.
Local swimmers in Corner Brook have a new place to practice their laps. The Marina Redmond Center officially opened this week. The Corner Brook Rapids swim team have been eager to dive in. Here's what some members had to say about seeing the new space for the first time.
For some, it was almost emotional, because for Corner Brook to have a facility that's so nice as this is just, you never thought it would happen, and here we are so many years later after we've been told it was coming, and here it is. Water's water for the most part, but the pool itself, the change rooms, getting in and out, and the drop-off situation is really nice. But Corner Brook Rapids will be at this pool in our upcoming season starting in September.
Like, everybody was excited for the new pool to open, and we're all excited for next year so we can swim there. The different blocks, like it's better for doing back dives, and the deck is a lot safer to walk around.
It's a lot more enjoyable because there's we have a warm-up section in the pool now, so we can like swim in the normal pool and then the warm-up section. The pool right now it looks a lot better than the old one because the pool itself looks a lot clearer.
Everybody's going to want to swim here with us. And prior to this, we would drop the kids off and they would go on in, and then we would head up to a store and spend money that we didn't need to. But now, upstairs, they also have a gym that overlooks the pool, and it's going to be my excuse to go to the gym again. We're happy to be here. It's a better facility for us for our use.
Well, you may have seen them, ads on social media advertising oral drops and other diabetes-related products. Now, Diabetes Canada is warning consumers these products might be fake after it received a surge in calls from people who fell for the scam posts. Alison Northcott reports.
When you open the box, you have this gadget.
Joel Snitman thought he was ordering a device to monitor his blood sugar to help manage his type 2 diabetes after seeing an ad on Facebook appearing to be endorsed by Diabetes Canada. But the product he got wasn't what was advertised.
I got sucked in, then obviously there'd be other people to get sucked in, and I wanted Diabetes Canada to know that some crooked outfit was using their logo.
Diabetes Canada says it's heard from more than 300 people complaining of similar ads.
Slimming and Health Boost drops.
It says it never endorses any medical products.
If you live with diabetes and you are seeing a health product, you think, oh, that looks interesting, and it's endorsed by Diabetes Canada, you need to know that's false.
The organization has tried to get the ads pulled down. In a statement, Facebook's owner, Meta, said it has removed some of the ads in question flagged to them by CBC News and is still investigating. But when one ad disappears, Diabetes Canada says another pops up, and the confusion that creates makes an already complicated disease even harder to manage.
If they wind up going on a whole trajectory of taking something or using something that isn't helpful, who knows, perhaps harmful, then they risk having a worsening of their condition.
Some ads have also used logos for Obesity Canada and even Health Canada, but the companies pushing the products can be hard to track down.
We are working with our legal team to hopefully reach out to them and cease and desist.
Health Canada told us the product Joel Snitman thought he was buying is not on the list of authorized medical devices in Canada. Diabetes Canada says anyone considering a monitoring device or a treatment found online should talk to their doctor first. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
U.S. President Donald Trump thanked Elon Musk today. The world's richest man is finishing his term as a federal worker after leading DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency.
I think the DOGE team is doing an incredible job. They're going to continue doing an incredible job, and I'll continue to be visiting here and be a friend and advisor to the president.
Musk went into the job promising to cut over $1 trillion in federal spending. So far, that number is much lower. The speed and scope of the cuts raised widespread anger in the United States. Musk has plenty else to do outside government, running Tesla, the rocket company SpaceX, and the social media platform X. Well, the collapse of a glacier in Switzerland this week has renewed the focus on global warming and the increasing dangers from it. The village of Blatten was buried under a deluge of millions of cubic meters of ice, mud, and rock that crashed down the mountain. The 300 residents had already been evacuated after part of the mountain behind the glacier began to crumble. Scientists say the loss of inland glaciers impacts those who rely on them for drinking water and for agriculture. They also say there's no way to stop the melting. Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Happy anniversary to Calvin and Wavy Oram, who celebrate their 50th anniversary tomorrow. Congratulations to Brenda and Ivan Osmond of Gambo. They're marking 50 years of marriage tomorrow. Happy 59th anniversary to Larry and Ella Philpott of Cottlesville. Happy anniversary to Cecil and Evelyn Dix of Grand Bank. They've been married for an incredible 73 years. Congratulations. Anniversary greetings going out to Dave and Vita Taylor. They've been married for 65 years. Happy 69th anniversary on Sunday to Clyde and Dorothy Best of Conception Bay South. Congratulations to Mac and Ada Rideout of Upper Gullies. They're celebrating 58 years of marriage. Wishing Eileen and Walter LeDrew of Traytown a happy 58th anniversary. Happy 55th anniversary to Yvonne and Arthur Late of Rogers Cove, Gander Bay. Sharon and Tom Childs are celebrating their 50th anniversary today. Anniversary wishes going out to Doug and Shirley Hefford. They're marking 51 years of marriage this week. Happy anniversary to Ray and Ivy Clark of 80 Town. They've been married for 64 years. Now to some birthdays. Birthday greetings going out to Richard Fowler from Bell Island. He's turning 90. Happy birthday to Naomi Langdon. She's celebrating her 90th birthday in Corner Brook. Happy 95th birthday to Florence Blunden, who's living in Clarenville. Wishing Pat Hickey a happy 90th birthday. He's from Gander and now lives in CBS. Happy birthday to Christine Tobin, who's turning 94 in St. John's. Happy birthday to Edwin DeGruchy in Buren. He just celebrated his 90th birthday. Jesse Barber is celebrating a birthday today. He turns 90 and he's celebrating in St. John's. Happy 96th birthday to Audrey Harris of New Chelsea. Love from all your family and friends. Laura Smith turns 91 today. She's from Chance Cove, and we're told she still hauls her own wood. Happy birthday to Stephen Gregory, who turned 91 this week. He's from Haystack, Placentia Bay, and now lives in Paradise. And Lydia Wells will be celebrating her 96th birthday on Sunday in Hare Bay. Hope you have a wonderful birthday. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again. So Ashley, looking at the long range forecast, the weekend is here. Tomorrow is looking really nice. I'm a bit excited.
Yeah, it's looking pretty decent. I mean, we may see a bit of cloud cover linger through the day, but the sun should come out for sure. But there's certainly more rain on the way for Labrador, which is much needed. Let's take a look at what's going to happen as we head into Saturday night and into Monday. So this is when our next system, when the meat and potatoes of the storm will move in on Sunday, or Saturday night into Sunday. So we will see some periods of rain through the overnight and into at least the first part of Sunday morning across the island. Now, again, we've got some much colder air at play for the north coast of Labrador, so you're still looking at a wintry mix through the afternoon on Sunday. And then we'll see that milder air push back in, although temperatures will stay on the cool side, but it will certainly be warmer than what you're seeing in northern portions of Labrador. As far as the island goes, we should see some sunshine in the afternoon on Sunday for the western half of the island. Likely going to stay a bit cloudy for the eastern half of the island. Also, the chance of some showers, but there'll likely be a few peaks of sun in the mix here and there. Temperatures will continue to hang out in the 20s between essentially the Avalon through central and the west coast. Along the south coast of the island and the northern peninsula, your temperatures will be in the teens through the afternoon. And then for Labrador, again, single digits, just barely. Nain looking at about +1, and the rest of the Big Land looking at temperatures somewhere between 8 to as much as 10 degrees. Through the afternoon on Sunday. Now, as we head into Monday, the system's still very much at play, so we will continue to see some unsettled weather for Labrador. This will bring that much needed rain again through the day. As far as the island goes, likely see a bit more sunshine as well through the afternoon for central and western portions of the province. Likely going to hang on to a little bit more cloud cover in the east, although It'll still be a decent day, but we may see a few showers in the mix there as well. Again, cooler for the north coast. Another day of either showers or some flurries. Coastal areas of Labrador looking at that potential for some rain through the day, at least for central areas of the coast. And then temperature-wise, you'll climb back up into the teens for central Labrador. The rest of the island portion will look somewhere between 19 to 20 degrees. And then again, northern peninsula, south coast, temperatures in the teens. So overall, not a bad Monday. As we take a look at the long range forecast, look, temperatures are going to be somewhere between 19 to 20 degrees as our daytime highs in St. John's and eastern Newfoundland, and even overnight lows, 9 to 12 degrees. So fairly nice stretch of weather. Central, you're going to be much warmer, 20 to 25 degrees. This is not going to help the fire risk situation, and certainly not in western Newfoundland either, with temperatures between 19 to 23 degrees in the long range. And then for eastern Labrador, your temperatures will warm back up, but you're going to hang on to that rain, and that will be the story for western Labrador as well. A little bit of sunshine by the time we get into Wednesday. Our weather photo of the day today taken Fox Island River.
Oh, look at that. It looks almost tropical.
It does look tropical. That's a herring boat, apparently, in the orange glow. Kathy wanted to share that photo with us, and it's a beauty.
It is.
Yeah.
The reflection of the sun is gorgeous.
Love it. If you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, we'd love to see them. And you can do that by sharing them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Kathy. And thank you all for spending your evening with us. I really appreciate you watching and hope you can join us again on Monday. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Good night.